So Raj, are you able to see the timer cards?
Not yet, Tuba.
So can you see Piyush? Piyush is going to change his virtual background.
Yes, I can see now. Yes, I can see.
Okay. So Piyush, for the people who have just joined in, can you read out the timing guidelines for the panel discussion?
Sure. Yeah. Good evening once again. During panel discussion, I will show green card at 20 minutes, yellow card at 30 minutes, and red at 40 minutes.
Thank you, Piyush. Now to read out the objectives, we'll have evaluator distinguished Toastmaster Mario. Mario, can you read out the objectives for people in the audience who have just joined in?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Mario.
Okay, I just got the purpose statement. Not sure whether those are the objectives. I'm going to read it out though. The purpose of the project is for the member to apply his or her skills as a public speaker and leader to facilitate a panel discussion.
Thanks so much, Mario. So we all set, Raj? Raj, effective speech writing. Effective speech writing, Raj.
Thank you so much, Tuba, first of all, for organizing and conducting this panel discussion for every one of us. Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all in this panel discussion. We have three beautiful and wonderful panelists with us today who will help me and help everyone to understand how to write effective speech, because we are in the Toastmaster to learn to write effective speech and then deliver the effective speech. For that, we have three panelists with us. Our first panelist is someone who is a trainer, who is coach, who is L&D professionals, who is District 98 humorous champion, and currently serving District 98 Division Mumbai, Division BSM as Club Retention Manager. Please welcome Toastmaster Avinash Singh.
Hi, am I audible and visible now?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be in the company of great people here, Brilliant and Pinky. Very nice opportunity, Raj. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Avinash. Our second panelist for today is someone who is an author, who is poet, who has been on TEDx stage, and currently she is Division A, humorous Division A speech evaluation champion. Dear all, please help me welcome Toastmaster Pinky Barus to all with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Raj, for inviting me for the panelists. And happy to be here. Happy to be along co-panelists along with Toastmaster Avinash Singh and distinguished Toastmaster Brilliant. Over to you, Raj. Thank you.
Yes, Raj dropped out. Okay, Raj is back.
I'm sorry for a few moments. Am I audible now?
Yes, Raj.
Am I audible?
Yes, Raj.
Thank you, Tuba. One who has been founding district director of District 98, who is HR professional, who has served Region 13 as region advisor of Toastmaster Internationals, currently serving District 98 as district parliamentary. Dear all, please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Dr. S.K. Brilliant.
Thank you so much, Raj. Probably I'm the odd person out in this panel. Both of these are contestants, and I've never officially contested. And I only joined because Raj said that we need a BAP panel. So they already had Pinky P, Avinash as A. So they said Brilliant will add to the B and make it as BAP of all panels. Hope we have a great time. Over to you, Raj.
Thank you so much, Brilliant. Thank you so much. And I welcome you all here. Okay, we start. Let's start how our panelists had started their speaking journey. I will request Toastmaster Avinash to share how was your experience when you delivered very first prepared speech in the Toastmaster. Would like to share with us today.
Thank you so much, Raj. I joined Toastmasters in 2016. I believe my first prepared speech was in the club contest and humorous speech contest. I gave my icebreaker after that. So that was a very good thing because I thought that, oh, I am here. You know, I used to do a lot of elocution competitions and I thought that, oh, this is very easy. But when I went to the next speech and then the next speech, then I started understanding that, oh, this is not that easy. And it requires a lot of structure, it requires a lot of organization, and it requires a lot of thought put into it. And then you go ahead and craft good speeches and go ahead and uh, share your mission. You know, not the eye opener, the third speech was the eye opener for me, I believe. So I believe that the eye opener should have been the first speech, so that I could have delved into the journey and understood the value much more earlier. But it was a great eye opener, I can say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Avinash, for sharing your experience. It's really good to know that someone has experience of giving a speech before delivering icebreaker. That's really awesome to know. I move to second panelist, Toastmaster Pinky. We would love to listen your experience too, as how was your experience when you had delivered your first prepared speech in the Toastmaster. Pinky, over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Raj. So I joined Toastmasters International, became a member in October 2017, and 21st October was my icebreaker. So that time I was 40 years. I thought, okay, 4 to 6 minutes. I started calculating. I have to speak about myself 4 to 6 minutes. That means 1.5 minutes to each decade. Easy piece of cake. But when I sat down to write, it was not like that. I was not able to bifurcate. How will I do? It was total confusion. Then I said, okay, let me say whatever I want to say. Let me see what portions of my life were really important to me. Let me share that. So by chance it happened that because it is your life, you know, childhood, then work, then this. So it happened to be in chronological order. I remember now it was 3 weeks into Toastmasters and I did people using props, people doing that. Something I want to do something like that. So what I did, first of all, the mistake which I made, first mistake, the title. I kept it really long. God helps them who helps themselves. And what I did, I drew a picture and with a placard, I hung it on my neck. I hung it and I was like, now when 2-3 months back, I looked at it, what am I doing? Why am I wearing that? What was the purpose behind it? I still don't understand because message comes at the last and I'm wearing it from the beginning and saying my speech. So yeah, now after that, I understood that everything you do during your speech must have a reason behind it. Understand why you are doing it. And yes, I remember that speech well because I won the best speaker for it. But more than that, I was comfortable on stage. That was not a problem for me because I had done theatre before and all. The problem for me was, as Toastmaster Avinash also said, structuring it well. So that is what I started learning, how to make it more colorful with the descriptive language and all. So that is something I started learning slowly. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Pinky, for sharing your experience in such a beautiful manner. Really, delivering icebreaker, delivering first speech is a beautiful experience for every Toastmaster. Thank you so much for that. Now, I will move to our distinguished Toastmaster, Escape Brilliant, to know how he had started speaking in the Toastmaster when you get chance to deliver your icebreaker speech. How was your feelings and how was your experience there? Brilliant, over to you.
The sound of the baby crying filled the hallway of Lakshmi Nursing Home, where a young man waited eagerly for the news. And a nurse walked in and said, "Congratulations, you have a boy and he is very naughty." Yes, that was the start of my icebreaker. Date 14th February 2009, on a Valentine's Day. And the journey of this speech is more important than the speech in itself. My friend Arvind, who is also my mentor, my wife Vaishali, and a couple of other friends from Bombay Toastmasters, we were driving towards the venue. And as we reached a point, we get a call from the club vice president education saying, "Where have you reached?" And we said, "We are just about 25 minutes away from the location." And he says, "Drive slow. We've got news that our venue has been demolished." And this is my icebreaker speech. I am sitting behind, and this is the news that we are hearing. And go slowly. And suddenly we don't know, we don't have a clue. And imagine, as an individual, I have mentally imagined my delivery space. Everything is set. And suddenly the venue is gone. So everything is blank. And slowly, as we move forward, we reach towards Bandra. We are told that congratulations, we finally have a venue. It's an open air amphitheater in BKC. And I said, wow, what an experience to start my icebreaker, my journey in a true sense of speaking in public. And the moments that day were so memorable. Everything just, as they say, the universe conspires, was as if it was conspired for me to deliver my speech. Everything happened for a change. Everything happened to make a difference to the life of people. And as we were just sitting on the amphitheater stairs, I was getting nervous, anxious, and I was excited what to do. But I said, let's go. I went ahead and I delivered. The best part about the speech was there were some coincidences, as I said. When I spoke about my marriage, there was a band party that actually walked past, dadang, 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 dadang. And I was like, okay, this is a real time prop, unlike Pinky, who got a prop tied to her neck. And there were many such coincidences that happened. When we spoke, suddenly it was, there were lights shimmering all around. And it was one experience, one hell of an experience, I would say. And the biggest lesson I learned from that delivery is that you can never control your environment. Irrespective of however well you have practiced, last minute changes can derail everything. What matters is your intent to give that speech for for the audience who has come for it. And I would say that was 14th of Feb 2009, Valentine's Day. Toastmaster Arvind distributed Little Hearts, Britannia Little Hearts as snacks during that day. But I felt so full as a speaker that I still cherish those memories. And I would say every speaker should undergo one such experience in their lifetime. Over to you, Raj.
Thank you so much, Brilliant, for sharing such a beautiful experience with us. Really, intent is the factor which drive everyone to move forward. Okay, I move to Avinash for next question. When we write our speech, we should have some basic aspects in our mind. So, what are those basic elements which we should keep always when we start drafting our speech? Avinash.
I start with the message. What do I want to convey with this particular speech? So for me, the message, the objective, why am I going forward and doing it? So the message comes first for me. And then how do I go about structuring it in order to reach that particular message is something which I try to find out and go accordingly. Now, how to structure it, what are the things I will start at the opening, how will I engage the audience, all those questions are there. But the starting point for me is what will the audience get out of this speech? So what is the message and can I deliver it in a way that they can understand it? And that is something which I try to ensure each and every time which I go ahead. I falter many times. I try to connect and deliver it, and they get the message correctly. So it happens. It's still, I'm still learning and I'm still trying to convey that particular thing, but I always start with the message. And for the projects, you have the objectives. Go through the objectives, in pathways. I first go through the whole base camp, understand what the project is all about, and then I try to find out, okay, what is my message, and are there specific incidents in my life which the personal experiences which I can bring about, and then go ahead and put it into the speech and then derive that particular message from my personal experiences and connect to something else. So that is something which I go about when crafting a speech. That is the first step which I take, and then go about it accordingly.
Thank you so much, Avinash, for sharing that message. Really important for any speech when we draft that. Thank you so much. I move to Pinky. Pinky, would you like to share, as Avinash also said, that structuring and organization of the speech, how we ensure that our speech is well structured, there is proper organization in our speech. How should we ensure about that? Would you like to share some your aspects about this?
Right. So now let's start with why structure is important. As a speaker, our main objective is that whatever we are trying to say, to express, audience, it reaches them. They are able to understand. And that is the reason why structure is important. Now, Toastmaster Samir was there, like in a previous panel. I saw in the background, he had so many books. Now, when you're reading a book, if you don't understand anything, you can read it again. But when you're giving a speech, it has to have clarity. So that is the reason structure is important. Now, structure, there are different kinds of structures. One can be chronological, other can be like you start from the present, halt, go back to the past, bring it back to the present, and end it with the future, concluding it with your message. Now, this is something which I have seen in, I watch many videos. So there's Dhar Man, he's a motivational speaker, he's a monk and all. So I am hooked to his videos because he always starts with the present. Then, but we don't know why the present is like that. Then he connects it to the past and then brings it back to the present and tells us how the future can be, how beautiful the future can be. So this is something. Now, how do we ensure that when that our structure is perfect? What I do, I write my speeches word by word. Like this I used to do before. Now I have to start again, I must say. So when I write word by word, what happens? We write in paragraphs. So if we are able to find the perfect transition from one paragraph to another, that means yes, the structure is going well. And that is how I would say we can identify that yes, our speech is in structure and is in proper structure. And another thing is read read it aloud. Read it to yourself. When you do that, you are listening to yourself. Is there any place where you're finding it awkward? Hey, this is out of place. So that can be removed and all. So that is another thing which can be done. So this is what I would like to say about how to structure, how we can identify if the structure is perfect or not.
Thank you, Pinky. Really, that when we read our speech, we get ensure that it is clear. It has clarity in the what I have written. Thank you so much. I would like to move to Brilliant with the question is there is a project in our CC manual. Get to the point. When we write our speech, big speech, and we try to go into a specific purpose, would you like to elaborate more that how should we ensure that we are moving on a single direction to be a specific purpose of our speech? Brilliant, over to you.
Thank you, Raj. And I think that is one of the biggest concerns most speech writers have with regards to saying, how do I come to the specific purpose? And as a mentor to many speakers who deliver speeches, one of the things, the first questions that I ask them is, what is the specific objective that you intend to achieve by delivering this project? The challenge is, I think we are all so over focused on screen, on what others have done. So for example, if I look at Pinky and say, oh wow, Pinky has delivered it so well, I need to match her energy, I need to make sure that I am at that level. I tend to ignore the specificity of the project. I think what is important, and again, this is my personal objectives, we get too technical at times. I would say forget about the technicality. One is, keep all the points that you want to share. My personal choice is writing it down first on a piece of paper and then transferring it onto computer. Jot down all the points that you have. Anything and everything about the speech that comes to your mind. Unlike Avinash, where he decides on the end objective, I may actually write a speech based on an experience that I have encountered. I may write a speech based on some title. Suddenly, I got an invite from Australia, and I was talking to the person, and she said, this is what is happening. So I said, impossible is nothing. And that gave me an idea for a speech. Impossible is nothing. And I used that as a building block to create my end objective. The biggest challenge is not about reaching to the specificity. The biggest challenge, as you rightly said, is getting to the point. We tend to, sorry to say, as in Hindi, we just vomit, ulti kar dete hain, right? We are in the habit of just telling, I need to tell this. This is interesting. My simple suggestion, if you understand what the project says, is identify aspects that will create an impact. Make sure that it is not boring. It is important to make sure that the beginning, the body, and the conclusion are all reinforcing the same purpose. Pinky rightly mentioned about creating a structure. Avinash also spoke about it. There is a need for a person to showcase a lot of credibility in the speech, which over a period of time it tends to go missing, because I am looking more at the end objective. I'm saying mujhe ye karna hi hai. I'm sorry, but this may not be the right place to say this, but many speeches that I have heard, the objectives are met in principle, but I couldn't connect to the person. I could feel that it is a fake delivery. The speech was good, but coming from, let's say, a brilliant saying this doesn't work. So there needs to be a level of sincerity also attached to what you want to say. The biggest problem with specific purpose is, are you able to pinpoint it to a one line or a statement that can be the takeaway message for the audience? So just like Dhananjay Hettiarachchi said, I see something in you. right? A key delivery message which says that everyone has something unique. So I think we need to repurpose the entire process. And thanks, you brought the traditional manual. For all those who have never heard of traditional manuals, please read project number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm sure your speeches will be much better. Over to you, Raj.
Thank you, brilliant. Really, it's important to connect when we deliver, when we write our speech. Thank you so much. I move to Avinash. Avinash, when we write our speech, we keep in our mind that we have to deliver this also. And we have to use our body language. We have to use our facial expressions, hand gestures, effective stage. How do you ensure that? I mean, how do you keep in mind that when you're writing and you are delivering? So, how do you frame both together when you draft your speech? Avinash.
Thank you. Very relevant question. I believe I am more inclined towards delivery than the content part of it. Of late, I have been focusing more on content. So for me, the process is where I create the content, I write it down, I write the whole draft, then I read it out, and then I see how my hand gestures, facial expressions sync. And there are times where when I start saying it, it doesn't match, and then I start changing the words. And sometimes the sentences which actually go with the way I want to project it. So when both are in sync, so it takes some time. When I start, I create the whole draft, then I go for I just read it out, or the way I want to do it. And sometimes it doesn't match, so I again go back and I redraft it according to that. And then when I am able to sync both and I'm happy with it, then I start practicing, and then I go ahead and deliver it accordingly. So for me, the process is write, then go ahead and try to sync it with the body language gestures. And if there is something which is not matching, go back again and try to redraft it until I am able to sync it properly. And that's how. So it's majorly with with respect to words. And sometimes the written words are great, but when you try to deliver it, it doesn't have that impact, or I'm not able to get exactly the kind of expressions which I would have with a certain way I had written that particular sentence. So that's something which I do, and accordingly I go about it.
Thank you, Avinash. Well said. That sync is very important when we write and deliver. I remember in myself that when I write my content of a speech and when I try to practice, it becomes entirely different. So I write again according to my practice way. Thank you. I move to Pinky as again going to traditional manual that vocal variations, tone, voice, very important in a speech delivery. So how do you ensure that when you draft your speech, that you will have adequate use of your vocal when your speech delivery? Pinky.
Thank you for that question. So, first of all, in my speech, I try to include dialogues. Now, these dialogues can be with any character, or these dialogues can be with myself. So, what happens? Vocal variety then comes out naturally. So, when I am writing, during voice modulation, I take care of three things. One is pace, one is volume, and other one is pause. So volume, like even if you're whispering something, see that it is audible, so that it is clear to the other person. Whatever you say, easily heard. If you shout, it might hurt other person's ears. So maintain a natural thing, medium. Second thing, pause. Now, when do I pause? I know when I write, I mark when I write, I actually mark this is here where I have to, where is it important? So I actually mark, because when you pause, you're giving an opportunity to the audience to think. about what you are saying. And second thing, it actually, if I pause, audience will think, okay, what is Pinky going to say next? So it is it is type of grabbing attention also. And third, about pace. What I'm talking about pace, it is that if I move too fast, audience will not be with me. And if I move too slow, I might lose them. So this can happen with anyone and everyone. So just I imagine, okay, I'm speaking to my friends. How would I speak with them? So that. And another thing, emotions. Like if I'm saying, oh, I was very excited, I'm not reflecting that emotion. Oh, I was so excited. My voice reflects that emotion. So just reflect emotions, take care of pace, pause, and volume, and just talk as if you're talking to your friends and add dialogues. Over to you.
So that's a really great input, Toastmaster Pinky. Really great input for every one of us. Thank you so much. I move to Brilliant now. As a speaker, when we deliver our speech, we ensure that I can add value to the audience. There's a term, speech value. I mean, how we prepare ourselves as a speaker, that whatever 7 minutes for normal speech or even for keynote speech we are delivering, we're adding value to the audience. Brilliant, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think this is one of the most important and crucial aspects of any speech. How can we add value? Uh, I'll slightly digress from this, and I'll say it all starts with the thought process of what you want to do. Personally, if I look at, for example, I mentioned about, are we building a speech just for the sake of building alone? A speech alone cannot do justice. Sorry to say this, but the delivery is also as important. And for me, when I start writing, I make sure that I introduce elements of the expression, because if I'm reading it through, I generally, what I do is I write my speech in a computer screen and I print it 4 pages in one, fold it and keep it in my pocket. So every time I used to be traveling, anytime I get free time, I just go through what is the speech element. And very similar to what Pinky said, I would write word to word. The reason is you really don't have time in a corporate world to think about it. So if you really want to give value, there needs to be an alignment of your delivery, your thoughts, and the content, because without that what would happen is you may connect well with the audience because the audience already loves you, you're a good speaker, all of that, but do they find value? The answer is probably no. So if you really want to look at that, think about these three elements. Make sure that every time you not only think of the speech but also about the delivery, and as they say, what would happen after I deliver the speech to Raj who's in the audience. If I see Raj just sitting there dozing off, or probably just like I saw Nayan almost asleep on the DP, it's it's like you feel from inside that there is something which is missing. You need to feel that very badly inside to have that connect with the audience. And the best thing to do is first and foremost understand the audience and then look at what is the value that you can give from a speech. And one golden rule for me is not every speech can give value to the audience. So you have to identify that golden speech that will have that value for the audience to take back. Otherwise, you will keep looking at one person and saying, and then we'll automatically have our titles on LinkedIn as Brilliant SK motivational speaker, right? We don't really reach to that level unless we can say that every speech of mine add value. Over to you, Raj.
Thank you so much, Brilliant. Really beautiful sharing that we have to align ourselves, we have to align our thoughts, we have to align our delivery so that we can deliver the value which we want to deliver to the audience. Thank you so much, Brilliant. I move to Avinash. Avinash, in most of the speeches, we get to understand that we have to create a strong opening. We have to connect to the audience in the start. So would you like to advise different types of opening which you have incorporated in your speeches so far?
Thank you so much. Opening is very important. One thing which I have seen is when you add an anecdote or a story, that is the best way to start that's very engaging. You can add stats. So if you have seen Mohammad Katani's, he started with some statistics, and then he said, no, actually it was not. So it was funny, but even statistics, even a question can raise that curiosity. So is your audience looking forward to listening more to you from your beginning, from your opening? And that's what you need to ensure, that okay, are you giving them a trailer of what is going to come, a small thing, and which is very exciting, which is something which is thought provoking. So I usually have gone with two different kinds of openings. One is taking a story kind of a thing, which maybe like a hare and a tortoise, or I have tried that, and trying to link it to the message and to my personal experiences. The other way, I have started with one of my experiences, a very short anecdote, tried to ask the audience interaction question, and then move forward to the particular message that I wanted to go towards. The most important thing which has worked for me, and the times it has worked for me, is trying to have a small anecdote and have the audience interaction question always in the beginning, and then going forward with the body. So that has worked brilliantly for me with respect to engaging the audience, and that's something I keep on doing most of the times. I do go ahead and try to uh, experiment with respect to stating a fact which is maybe not known to the audience, or a question which can engage the audience directly. But most of it, I start with an anecdote and then the audience interaction question. That is something which I do regularly. Over to you.
Thank you, Avinash. Really, audience interaction works a lot for me too when I try to open my speech during my daily routine. Thank you so much, Avinash. Coming to Pinky, Pinky in the start introduced use of props when you had delivered icebreaker. Would like to advise Pinky to every one of us how we create more impact in our speeches with use of props. Pinky.
Thank you. First of all, if you are not comfortable using props, it's okay. It is not compulsory that we have to use it. But if you are using it, first of all, understand that let it not be shown. Like yesterday, I was in a meeting where I saw a prop was there, but it was hidden with a cloth. So I was curious, okay, what is it? So let it not be seen also. Show it at the right time, just when you have to show, and after its work is done, keep it aside. So one thing which I try to do whenever I use props, that I show it at the right time and hide it at the right time. Props, if you're not comfortable, don't use. And yes, it has an impact only if it adds value to what you are trying to say. For example, when I give my TEDx speech, I was seeing that everyone is using PPT. Even I used a PPT. But you know what? It had only one slide. Now that slide came at the very end and it just said my message. It just accept, create, and impact with the smile on my face, with colorful umbrella and all, with happy. So that my intention to use that was just to tell them that this is my message and it leads to happiness. So see, understand the reason why you're using and if it is valuable. And if you're not comfortable, leave it aside.
Thank you so much, Pinky. Really, proper use of props is important, sir, so that it can add the value, it can add the impact when we are trying to deliver to the audience. Coming to Brilliant, Brilliant, I have heard from many speakers is that when we deliver our speech, we should not write or draft or deliver as a third person. We should live our speech. We should that we are feeling those moments, whatever we are sharing on a speaker stage. Would you like to share your experiences, how it has helped you to innovate, to reach you in this Toastmaster journey? Brilliant.
Thank you so much. And that's the exact point that probably all the panel members have been driving across, is the fact that you need to live that speech. It needs to be inside of you. I know of one member from TCS who can deliver the 2013 World Championship of Public Speaking Prasyan Vasilev speech, changed by a tire, word to word, expression by expression. But will that person become Prasyan? The answer is no. The answer is no, for a simple reason, because when you bring that expression, for example, you could actually feel that yes, this is what he experienced. Someone copying it, for example, I give you a speech which is written directly, you can read it out and you can still win best speaker of the club meeting, but the audience will clearly understand from your body language, the way in which certain elements are delivered, that it's not you. For me, most of my speeches, except for maybe one or two where you have to research on a particular topic where I have not had any experience, all of these are based on personal experiences. So one thing that builds and helps me do is build credibility, because it's my speech. Even if I forget the lines, I know what happened, right? It's not like saying, "Arey yaar, kya ho gaya? What happened that time? Should I go back?" So one thing is, until and unless it's your own experience or something which you have experienced happen, it will not really gel well with the audience. So I would say, for me personally also, it has been working very well. I am not comfortable taking a content that is there from Pinky's speech, because I know, wow, this is a speech which can win me a contest. Avinash has won a contest. Let me use it. I'll not be able to do it. KOUNIQUE. So that's what I would say. And I'm cognizant of the time. I see the red card. So over to you, Raj.
Thank you, Brilliant. Thank you really to bringing out point about credibility in a speech. Coming to final set of questions now with Avinash. Avinash, how has helped you? How has a speeches writing and delivery has helped you in Toastmaster journey in your professional life and personal life to become a humorous district champion? Would you like to share some moments?
Well, to tell you frankly, it's not only the speeches. Actually, the totality of Toastmasters, I when I started saying, I used to focus on delivering more and more speeches, but then I went ahead and I took different roles. I started taking leadership positions, and that actually helped me to work on how to deliver better speeches. When I was able to evaluate, I was also getting some ideas. Oh, I am telling this person to improve this, but am I doing that? And then it actually struck me, oh, I could go ahead and work on the same thing which I'm telling to the other person on my own speeches. And one thing with respect to humor is, I am not a very funny person. My name is Avinash Singh, and Singh means lion. But I am the trained lion. I'm not the jungle lion. So I have trained myself to understand the nuances of how humor works. So when Pinky said about the pauses, so when you pause, you are taking the person till that point to a particular journey, and when you pause, you are telling them, okay, go wild with your imagination. And then when you go ahead and twist it in the way when they are not thinking where you will go, that's where humor is created, the surprise element. So that is something which I have learned. One great lesson which I learned after I tried to win the contest. I tried to add those elements rather than being myself. What would Avinash do? And that is something which I changed after not delivering it properly, because it was not me. It was not my style of humor. It is not what gelled with me. And that's where I went ahead. I changed the strategy and I said, okay, I am maybe not that great in working flowery language and giving great content, but I'm good at delivery. So what can I do with that? And then I focused on those particular aspects, tried to understand, learn from good content, how to create humorous content, and then I went ahead with it. So Toastmasters has been a great learning for me. It has helped me professionally. I've started my own venture. I do a lot of things. So when you talk about mentoring people, I mentor, I coach them in Toastmasters as well as outside, okay, as a profession. So it has helped me. So I keep on practicing here. It's my practice ground, and I go ahead, and in my profession I actually charge for it. So that's that's something which has definitely helped me.
Thank you so much, Avinash. Thank you so much for sharing your moments. I come to Pinky and would love to listen from you. Is you have been on TEDx stage. You are author of a book. Would you like to share experience how Toastmasters help you to reach there? Pinky.
All right. So, coming to first, I'll answer the other question. My book, which is Finding the Chromosome X, actually it got compiled because of the speeches I gave at Toastmasters. One day I was just scrolling through Facebook and I saw an ad, Bigfoot Publications accepting manuscripts for the year 2018. I said, hey, I have got almost 50% of the content. Let me give it a try. So I sent them the first 3 chapters and they approved it, and it just happened. So it happened actually because of Toastmasters. Now coming to TEDx stage, how it helped them? Again, it helped me to do a proper opening, proper closing, keeping my language simple, having clarity that what I want to share. Like for example, opening, if I remember, yes, I started with a question. Whenever any photographs takes any photo, what are the 2 magical words he says? So most of them answered, smile, please. Then I asked them, okay, so what brings out the real smile, heartfelt smile? It is acceptance. But acceptance of what? And then I went into the story, and then that acceptance, it is accept yourself as you are. As I said, my message was accept, create, and impact. Accept yourself as you are, see what you have, see what you can create with it, and be ready to impact. And at every point, just celebrate every achievement. So it helped me organize my speech with proper opening, proper closing. Even I planned an activity. It was just maybe a minute's activity where I asked them, how many of you all have best friends? Everyone raised their hands. Everyone has a best friend. Now write 5 good qualities about your best friend and 5 good qualities about yourself. So this is the activity I did. And then I asked them, was it difficult to write about you or your best friend? Of course, many said that it was difficult to write about themselves. So that is when my message became clear that how important it is to accept and love yourself. So in all this, Toastmasters helped me. The training, the manuals helped me. Evaluations helped me.
Thank you so much, Pinky, for sharing your such experience to reach on TEDx stage with the help of Toastmasters. Coming to final questions with DTM Brilliant. Brilliant, you have long journey in the Toastmasters. You must have experienced a lot of moments in this journey. Would you like to share some moments where you realized that Such things I learned in the Toastmaster, which helped me, which are helping me now in this stage of my career. Would you like to share some moments of your life? Brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you, Raj. Well, it is not directly linked to just speaking itself, but the entire Toastmasters experience. You all know that my profession is that of being a human resource professional. So one of the things that's essential for me is talking to people, making sure that if there is a feedback, a timely feedback is given in an appropriate manner where the person is willing to accept it. What I learned from Toastmaster, there are many things which I've learned, but things which I feel have made me implement it at my workplace, I would highlight about three things. One is the art of listening. Listening is very essential. We tend to respond even before the answer is over. So just like in this panel, every time you asked Avinash or Pinky the question, I was like, ye question mujhe aana chahiye tha. It's like that table topic thing, right? You generally tend to get that. But I said, relax, apna time aayega. So listening is very important. Second most important part is providing the right feedback. And I learned thanks to Toastmasters the effective way. I used to be a very brash personality where I would be very crude. I would say, "Kya yaar, ye kya kapde pehen ke aa gaya? Ye kya tune kiya?" And I would not worry because for me it was important to put across the point and move on. So when I hired a person in my team after about 4 years back into my team, his experience of me as a boss was he is someone who's very brash, he cuts throat, and suddenly he realized that okay, he listens more and he then tries to explain the point of view. So it means that I have used both listening skills and the feedback providing aspects of Toastmasters in an effective manner. And the best part is management of ambiguity. My role is highly ambiguous. It's like, once my son Ved asked me, if there is a show and tell in school, how will you tell what you do? मैं क्या बताऊंगा? If it's a policeman, he can say मैं चोर पकड़ता हूँ. If it's a fireman, he can say this is what I can do. But what will I say? मैं लोगों को लेके आता हूँ, उनको काम दिलाता हूँ. It's like surprising. So being a part of Toastmasters, you learn working in ambiguity. Suddenly you are put into a spot where you don't know what is ahead of you, but still, thanks to the supportive and positive experience that we get and all the wonderful people around providing support and mentoring when required, I have realized that working in ambiguity is very easy. So these are the three things which I have actually taken back to my workplace as well. So even today, if there is anything to be done at the drop of an hat, thanks to the experience from Toastmasters, I'll use all the elements and I make sure it is done. Over to you, Raj.
Thank you so much, Brilliant, for really bringing out three important points which we learn in Toastmaster, which helps us to raise our life in professional and personal way. Thank you so much. Let me open the questions from audience. We have questions from Samir. It is from some question is from for Brilliant. What is most important reason because a speaker is not able to connect? This is from Samir for Brilliant.
Okay. Thank you, Samir. You're also an engineer. I'm also an engineer. So I'll use the engineering experience to share. Uh, Most of the time, the speaker generally forgets about looking at the Venn diagram. The Venn diagram, which is the most important, topics that you know, topics that you love, and the topics that the audience cares about. So you will see that there is a very small intersection that is there for you to speak on. Not connect. And since you asked me for one, it's very difficult, honestly speaking. So I said the biggest reason is ACE. ACE. What is A? One is acceptance. The audience member doesn't accept the speaker itself. The speaker may not have the credibility. Then is the C, which is the connect. The most important part for any speaker to do is to have a connect. Like Pinky mentioned about her opening speech, or Avinash said that he starts with something where he engages the audience. The connect is important. And last but not the least is the E, which is the emotional engagement. Emotional engagement is very critical for every speaker, irrespective of whether you like it or not. Until and unless I can connect to you at an emotional level, I don't think I'll be able to take it forward. And there is a very interesting anecdote with your permission, Raj. I would like to share this. We had an experience where we went to a corporate club. It was Patrick as the general evaluator, Patrick Pereira, and me as the evaluator of a speech. And the speaker was talking on why you should give up non-vegetarian food. Both Patrick and I are pure non-vegetarians, and a topic like this, automatically you cut down, right? And the engagement is lost. The connect is like, boss, kahan aa gaye hum? So it happens, it's reality. But because we are Toastmasters, because we are in that role, we have to pay attention. Otherwise, if I was in the audience, I would have said, chalo aage jao, dusra koi topic aayega to main dhyan dunga. So you need to be very conscious about these elements and make sure that A, C, E are taken care of. Thank you, and over to you, Raj.
Thank you, brilliant. Our next question is again from Samir for Pinky. I am IT profession, not much exciting life. How do I come up unique topic every single time? Pinky.
Okay, first of all, I don't believe that anyone's life cannot be exciting. It is up to us how we can make it exciting. So, coming to the topic. Okay, we all, as everyone was saying, that we all first think of messages, or we are here to tell something what we strongly believe in. So, find out what is it that you strongly believe in, what is it that you want to convey. You're working IT professional. You may have faced a problem there. How you came up with a solution? How is it related to each and everyone's life? What one thing you learned here? That is from the profession. Even in personal life, there may be so many incidents. Actually, what I have seen mostly, speeches are actually problems, presenting problems, giving solutions. That is what I have mostly observed. Most of the speeches are. So find the problems, and that can be your topic. The problem can be your topics. Yeah. Over to you, Raj.
Thank you so much, Pinky. We'll take last question for Avinash, again from Samir. It is, can you give one suggestion on how to be funny from Samir?
Okay. Thank you for the question, Samir. You're asking too many questions today. Okay. So, see, for me, I understood. So I was a part of this particular eloquence 2019 at Pune, and I heard Rajashekhar Mamidana, and he spoke about the way you create jokes. So that is a technique which he said that set up, pause, and twist, and that is something which works every time which you go ahead. You go ahead, you say that, oh, I you know, um, I never make a mistake. I never make a mistake. Pause. I make it 2 to 3 times just to be sure. So this it didn't go well because I didn't pause enough. But when you go ahead and you try to start a joke, and you take the audience into a direction that never make a mistake, that means I'm telling that, oh, I learn from those mistakes. And then suddenly you take a pause and let them be confident that you are going to say that, and then you twist that and say that, oh no, I make it 2 to 3 times to just to be sure. So that way, that is something where I learned the technique of set up, pause, and twist. And the second main important point was that what is your style. Now there are people like Charlie Chaplin, Mr. Bean of they go ahead and they do physical humor. There are people, if you have seen Big Bang Theory about Sheldon, there is more related to sarcasm. So what is your style of humor? Can you do you use expressions and deliver be funny, or do you have a straight face and you be funny? So what is your style? If you can find your style, and then, you know, then you go ahead and you go into your own life and you find those moments and you use the technique and the style, bring it together, and you can learn to be funny. It's a skill. Humor is a skill. It can be learned. Thank you so much.
I think Raj dropped out.
Yeah, it's difficult when the moderator is out of view. But anyways, we think he was at the end of his panel discussion. So I'll thank all of you on his behalf. And we had a great experience today listening to all of you. We really got to know a lot of things on how to write the speeches, voice modulations, and Samir had a lot of good questions today. So with this, we'll move on to the evaluation. We have distinguished Toastmaster Mario for that. And before we move on, Piyush, can you tell us the time that was taken for the panel discussion as well as the guidelines for evaluation?
Raj is back.
Raj, we are moving on to the evaluation and I've thanked the panel on your behalf.
I'm sorry. I apologize for this inconvenience. I'm sorry for that. Okay, so we have come towards end of our panel discussion, and for some questions we have for offline, and with this I will control to Tuba.
Thanks so much. So Piyush, may we have the timing that was taken for the panel discussion?
Yeah, last discussion took 59 minutes, 30 seconds, almost 1 hour.
It was very interesting.
Yes.
Yes. So
now I will read guidelines for speech evaluation. So speech evaluation are 2 to 3 minutes. I will show green card at 2 minutes, yellow card at 2.5 minutes, and red card at 3 minutes. The speaker has a grace period of 30 seconds on either side of the specified time limit. Over to you.
Thanks so much, Piyush. So for evaluation, I call upon distinguished Toastmaster Mario Rosario.
Thank you, Tuba. First, before I start, I'd like you to know that I got the DTM title pretty recently, and I'm still not used to being called distinguished. So that could come as a shock to a few of you. So we'll park that for now. The target speaker today, Toastmaster Bharat. Yes, Bharat, right? Yeah. Amazing session we had. I got a few points, but in the interest of time, I shall try to be brief. First of all, great panel. You chose, you chose three individuals who are accomplished. You chose a district winner, you chose a TEDx speaker, and you chose a regional advisor. People who are speakers in their own right and qualified to be on the panel. You gave every speaker a fair amount of time. I don't think you were unfair to any of these speakers. What I liked about you was you had this sparkle in your eyes. You know, you had this sparkle, this gleam. You were alive. You were sitting wherever you were sitting, and it almost seemed like you were at any moment going to jump out of your chair while you were asking those questions, right? So here's the structure you followed. You began by asking, your panel what their first speech in Toastmasters were, how they wrote it. And then if I were to understand right, you began to ask them what their opinion was on the various aspects of preparing a speech, like what they thought about voice, how they use their body language and their props. And it seemed to me that at some point of time that you were taking cues from the old manual CC3 to CC7. Project 3 is this, Project 4 is that. I'm like, yeah, that's what he was following. Pretty good, because as somebody said, the old manuals are actually a great guide to follow. So I'm glad you did in that way. I also like the fact that you were asking targeted questions to targeted people. You focused on body language to Avinash, and we all know how good he was. We saw how he waltzed on the stage last time when he won the trophy. And you asked Pinky for voice, and Pinky is someone who, and TED speakers use voice very well. And we saw her do it very well. So really, really nice way you structured the entire discussion. You had a flow from start to finish, and you abided by it. Now, there are a few suggestions I would love to give you. Point number one, when we are doing a panel discussion, one of the most important things, and I think for most of us, we are still learning it, is the way to transition. Transitioning is a very important thing, right? I mean, and sometimes, although we have a list to do, it's important that we transition well. Now, how do we transition well, right? I mean, first Avinash was talking about how to structure speech. So Avinash is done with structure. So you could say, so Avinash, great topics about how we structure a speech. Now let's move on to Pinky. Pinky, what do you have to tell us about how you use voice? Okay, Pinky, we've done with voice. Now, brilliant. What do you have? What kind of oversight do you have to give us, given that you've seen Toastmasters for such a long time and are aware of all these things? What extra insight can you give? Right? The transitioning is so important. Hey, I know we all have these points when we come to a discussion. Yes, we have to have that. But the transitioning sometimes is important because we don't want people to believe that it's robotic or mechanical. Equally important. So transition is something we always have to remember. Number two, look for those breakaway points, breakaway moments, the aha moments. Now, everybody's giving, examples that you expect. Yeah, you have to use voice. Yeah, you have to do this. You have to do that. Now, every now and then, somebody will break away from the pack. Now, the moment which the breakaway moment came, and Brilliant actually said, are we really losing the plot here by focusing on all these technical things? Yeah, I have to bring a prop. Check. Oh, I have to start like this. Check. Oh, I have this. Check. Now I got a good speech. Now, and Brilliant asked the right question. Are we losing the plot by making speech about being too technical and not losing the essence of what it is? So when you have a breakaway point like that, that's the right time to jump. Okay, Brilliant, you're saying something like, Avinash, I'd like to hear your opinion on this. Do you have something to add? Bear in mind, I'm not saying this because I want us to begin an Arnab Goswami channel here where everybody starts arguing. No, we are not one. We just want to hear different people's opinion on a topic which, could be slightly different, because that's where the real value add comes in. That's where people will bring experiences which they have encountered somewhere else to the table, and that's what really makes a panel discussion. That's what really takes a panel discussion and brings it to life. So always look for these breakaway points, breakaway moments where people bring this extra insight from their past, carry that on and let other people comment on that and stir the discussion. We want a discussion which is stirred up and really active. Bharat, you have the potential to do this, and you can do it. In your next project, I'll ask you to take, just push yourself off the edge a little bit and try this. I'm sure you can do justice to this. But on the whole, it was a great panel discussion. A topic like this is something which will sell in any Toastmasters audience. Thank you once again for inviting me. Great discussion, all the panelists. I too had a lot, to learn and reinforce from all of you. Thank you once again. Over now to who am I supposed to pass it on to? Tuba? Yeah, thank you, Tuba. Over now to Tuba.
Thank you so much, Mario. Thank you.
Thanks so much, distinguished Toastmaster Mario. Thanks so much for a brilliant evaluation. It was great learning so many things about how to do panel discussion from you. And thanks a lot to our great set of panelists, Brilliant, Pinky, and Avinash. It was great to have you here today. And congratulations, Raj, for completing your panel discussion project. And thanks, Piyush, for acting as a timer today. We had a brilliant set of panelists today, 2 amazing panel discussions and a lot of learnings from our evaluators and panelists. Thanks a lot for having such a good Sunday. I enjoyed a lot. With this, the meeting is adjourned. Have a good rest of the Sunday.
Bye everyone. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for coming with us. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you.
Wait for a
Joining
photo.
us, guys.
बहुत जल्दी बोला.
Yes, we click a picture.
Let's click a photo. Everyone, can you?
Okay.
Brilliant has sent me a couple of photos.
Not couple, 16 photos. But those are only of the panel discussion and the moderators, etc. but this group photo will be fine.
Okay, at the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. Keep holding. Okay, thank you. We have it.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Avinash. Thank you, Pinky. Thank you, Brilliant. Bye. Thank you, everyone. See you again very soon. Thank you so much, Mario, for this beautiful evaluation for me. Thank you so much.
Great to hear from all of you.
Same here. It was a learning, like hearing everyone. I
Yes.
enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you again.
Well then, bye.